You want to kick it off? Or you want me to kick it off?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, man. Welcome to season 2, Steve.
Welcome to season 2, Zach.
Welcome to Horrors Yet Unseen, the horror movie podcast where we make each other watch films the other guy hasn't seen and then review them.
Each episode will have spoiler-free reviews followed by no-holds-barred spoiler-full breakdowns. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about some scary movies.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Wow.
Starting a second season.
Grown up.
I know.
Like the whole 2 seasons in.
I know, it's wild.
Are we a real podcast yet?
I mean...
Is that like being a real boy?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, something like that. It does feel crazy that like we're coming up on a full year of doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, now we're kicking off season 2 right here. 2025, baby. And then
somehow I can still stand you. So it's good.
I know. That's what's crazy.
Yeah. Miracles do happen.
I know. Each podcast, I try to get just a teensy bit more annoying.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's, but I also am growing a thicker skin, I guess.
Well, I think the ratio of your thicker skin growth to my annoyance, I think my annoyance level needs to raise up in order to bypass that. You're able to grow thicker skin faster than I can be annoying.
Yes, and don't.
Oh, okay. Yes. I love that. I love that you yes-anded, and then you're like, no, don't do that. Okay. Well,
I think I'm good with, with the way it's been, the speed it's been going. So I think I don't need to have any more skin that's thicker, or my, never mind. I'll stop there.
Your pants won't fit. It's so stupid.
Well, it's I see having the notes. It's going to be 5% more horrific.
Yeah.
How did we get at that? That seems awfully precise.
Listen, we're just going to try. That's all.
So don't expect massive improvements, but it's going to be better
over the course of 2025. Over the course of season 2, the totality of this season will be 5% more horrific than the totality of season 1. Yes.
Okay. Well,
yes.
What are we doing differently this time, Zach?
So I think we want to, we're going to do chapters. We're going to focus in on chapters this time around in the show notes, which we did technically in season 1. But I think because we're going to be implementing a spoiler-free section,
yes,
for people who might not want the shenanigans and fun time of our spoiler-filled section.
I think it's more the spoilers they want to avoid, not the shenanigans.
Well,
are
they one and the same?
Inexplicably bound, yeah, it's true.
And so I think because of that,
so we're still doing 2 movies per episode.
Still 2 movies
that are assigned by the other guy.
100%.
And then we're doing a spoiler-free review.
Yes.
Brief. And then we're doing a longer spoilery breakdown with extra color on the review.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. 100%. And if you can bypass all of that stuff, you can bypass.
We'll have it all in chapters. Yep.
Have it all in chapters so that you can skip through and go through that without having 20-year-old movie spoiler for you. And so
absolutely,
or newer movies, because that's one of the things that I wanted to do a little bit more this season is try to do some more new age movies or movies that are a little bit more recent. Because I know that I like movies that are completely fringe and ridiculous, but are also 70s or 80s horror movies, because
back when horror movies weren't as good.
Back when horror movies, well, technically they weren't as good. Let's be honest with ourselves. That's part of the reason why I like them. Okay.
Yeah.
But for example, the movie that I assigned you for this particular episode literally just came out.
Right.
So I want to give more movies to you that are
Newer.
Newer, rather than you giving me a newer movie and I'm giving you some completely obscure movie that me and 12 other people in the world have known about, including the cast and crew of that movie.
Yeah, that's good.
Or maybe they forgot. Maybe they took so many drugs that they also forgot about that movie.
On
you know
purpose.
what I mean? Yeah. Don't worry though, for fans of the ridiculous, I will give Steve terrible movies. That will happen.
It would not be a movie podcast with you if there weren't terrible movies.
There are gonna be movies that are just real bad.
Yep.
Like movies that I barely made it through, and I'm like, I got to torture somebody about this. You know. That's the fun of the podcast.
Yeah, and I like the newer, weird, like depressing, heady, philosophical ones that are all allegoric and whatever. I'm going to still give you those, but I will also mix it up.
The soul-sucking, make me want to,
It's like, why am I alive type things.
Got it. I'd just be happy as peaches to jump out this window and have the ground just come up to meet me. Well, kind of stuff. No?
Just happy as peaches to watch the ground as it come up to meet me.
Listen, it's such a wild line from that movie.
Oh,
first off, happy as peaches is one of the best lines.
Happy as peaches.
Be happy as peaches.
I need to memorize that whole little. That'd be good.
Your family's going to call the police if you do that. They're going to call the authorities and say, we feel unsafe. And they should, because that is a terrifying monologue to memorize.
100%.
Just happy as peaches to watch your heavy heart go pop, pop.
100%.
Yeah.
So what happened while we were gone?
Dude, so much that I didn't even write it down. There's so much that happened. Christmas happened, right?
Right.
So Christmas happened. Then the New Year's happened.
Right. We had the Golden Globes.
Demi Moore.
Yeah. Won. A horror movie is actually getting some attention.
Right.
From the Hollywoods.
Yes. And so that's good. Yeah. I saw some pretty great movies that we can't talk about because I'm going to assign them to you. And
same.
So that's always a fun announcement. I have news that I can't share with you right now. I don't know what else happened while we were gone. What happened in your world? Or just the world?
Lots of things that I'm not a news podcast, so
we got a lot of release dates for some great horror movies that are coming up. Death of a Unicorn finally decided that it was going to land that plane.
Oh, what's the date on that? I forgot.
I think it's the end of March.
Okay, cool.
I think it's March 28th is the Death of a Unicorn.
Oh yeah, there's also an overhyped vampire movie that came out at the end of the year.
That is man, I feel so many feelings about what you just said. None of them are good, and none of them I can say out loud because I want to go to heaven someday. But because it wasn't overhyped and it wasn't overrated, and we need to talk about that, Steve. But would you like to jump into that particular topic now?
Yeah.
Okay. So Steve is. I titled this segment Mustache-Gate because Steve had a huge problem with the fact that Nosferatu had a mustache. An era-appropriate, culturally appropriate mustache, mind you.
Yeah. Still a problem with it.
The man who made the movie said so.
So here's the thing.
Okay?
Here's the thing.
Here we go. Break it down, Steve.
Sure. People in Romania at that time, the men, maybe some of the women, not going to judge, had mustaches. Okay? Nosferatu,
yes,
is a badass demon man.
Correct.
Who is an undead person.
He's a vampire.
He's a vampire. he's been alive for freaking hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Do you think that Nosferatu gives a piddly little crap about what the style of the time is? I don't think so.
He's a count.
I think
he does.
What? No, he's gonna like eat you alive if you like don't like his clean shaven face. He's but besides, he is undead, and like you see his body, it's like half rotting anyway. How is that gonna grow a mustache?
My concern was the fact that he needs a haircut because he has the top. He has just the top. Like he has no side hair. Right. The sides and back of his head are because he's bald. Rotting. And then he has the hair on the top, and he's got the old man comb over to make it look more full, but
it's not
also
grow anymore.
Emo boy kind of. And that's fine.
Exactly.
It is a choice. I understand.
But
his mustache is part of his.
It's a porn stash, Zach.
Okay, well,
that's all it is.
It can be that. I don't know that porn stashes existed in 1863.
Rule 34.
I don't even know what Rule 34 is, Steve. What do you mean? What are you saying?
You don't know
right
what
now?
This is?
No, I don't. I just said that.
Well, I didn't know if you were gaslighting me or not.
Well, that has been known to happen. Also, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I had the wrong. It's not the Rule 34. What is it?
See,
Internet.
You don't even know. You don't even know what it is. Here we go. Let's Google something on our professional podcast.
No, I was right. Rule 34. If it exists or can be imagined, there's internet porn of it. That's the rule.
What I'm saying is that the phrase or the style of mustache called the porn stash didn't exist in 1863. Germany, 1863. Like, I think that this is more of an American 70s trope, 1970s trope. So, like,
right,
we're talking 100 years later.
I also think that there was more colors than blue in the 1800s in Germany at night. Half the movie is just blue and black.
What is your problem, Steve? Like this movie.
I actually do.
Like
I actually like
the movie. It's a freaking work of art.
It is a work of art. So is,
Stop. Don't say
it. It is a work of art. I will give you that. And it is enjoyable to watch. He talks way too slow. It's a cool voice, but he's talks really slow, and you have to wait.
5,000 years old. Of course, he talks slow.
He should have practiced talking faster. Get a speech therapist, buddy.
He did. So wait, you're talking about Bill at this point. You're not talking about Count Orlok. You're not talking about Count Orlok.
Orlok should have. I mean, if he's going to go to the extent to like take someone's mustache and glue it onto his face because he can't grow hair because he's a a dead person,
you don't.
Then he could at least get a speech therapist to like speak a little faster.
He's more concerned about moving. You know that's one of the most stressful things that a person can take on is moving. He doesn't have the time. He doesn't have the time.
He's got people doing things for him. He's got like a. I don't know, he's got like a real estate agent who he like makes live with him, and then, I don't know. I think the thing is, Zach, it's a movie, and, I think we're just gonna have to go with that because I love Robert Eggers and everything he has done so far.
Yes.
I like this one slightly less than loving it. I thought it was a great movie. A little bit slow in parts, but the acting, on my word, was stupendous. So good.
So
phenomenal.
Let's break this down even further. Let's peel more layers of this onion back. Okay. Because I'm not done beating this dead horse.
Okay.
Because you just said that the movie is not, you liked it, you didn't love it, but the acting is stupendous. Sure. What are the aspects of this movie besides the mustache, the complete era appropriate, culturally appropriate mustache that he had, what are the other aspects of this movie that made it go down to like instead of love? Because you just said a love kind of thing where you're like, the acting was stupendous. That's a love kind of thing.
The acting was really well done.
Okay, yes.
The pacing was not
okay
well done. I didn't like the pacing. I mean, there's like this. The movie was so freaking long, and it could have been at least 45 minutes shorter.
What?
It was just all this,
oh my gosh,
cruft and fluff, and I don't know. It didn't, and the like I've said before, like I said earlier, the coloring of it, the blue and like in the moonlight stuff. I get it. A lot of this movie takes place in the evening, in the nighttime. And I even saw a whole YouTube video about how the director of photography like developed this special lens, so all that coloring was actually shot live that way. They didn't color grade it or anything later. Well, impressive, cool, good job. It's just too much of it, and I don't know. It was just, and I didn't feel like Orlok was scary. I didn't feel threatened by him at all.
I don't think that he's supposed to be that scary because the movie's not.
He's freaking Nosferatu, dude.
Yeah, but the meaning of Nosferatu is not supposed to be that horrific. He's not supposed to be some vampire who, like, I will say this. This is one of the positive reviews that I have for the movie Nosferatu. This movie was like, this is exactly the way that the Voyage of the Demeter was supposed to be.
Oh, see, I never saw it because you said it was so bad, so I didn't bother watching it.
Well, I will assign you this movie. So I'll force you to watch it because that movie was trash. But this movie has that ship scene in it.
The ship was actually pretty good. The ship part was pretty good.
Yeah. But, I mean, technically, it would have been nice. I will say that. It would have been nice. I'll agree with you. It would have been nice for him to be a little bit more threatening for him. Because they had that ship moment where that guy's like, I'm going to go down and kill him. And he starts hacking away at the box. And then Nosferatu's right behind him and he rips his face off. And more of that would have been great.
Right.
But that wasn't, I don't think that was the point of the story.
Yeah, that wasn't the vibe of this. Like, I agree. I would have liked more, like, Nosferatu does scary stuff and, like, find out that he can move really fast or something, or, you know, who knows what. But he just, to make the character more menacing, he just kind of came across as, like, an old grandpa, because you only ever saw him standing there, you know?
Yeah.
And so it didn't really scare me. I guess I was looking for a scary movie, and it was more of a like a vibe movie. Like the whole thing was like a dark cloud over everything, you know. And so and that's one thing that Eggers is really good at, is like creating this vibe in his movies.
Correct.
The whole thing is like kind of menacing or whatever. So
it immerses you in that particular
that is true.
Atmosphere. Yeah.
Until you see a porn stash and then it's gone. But whatever.
Well, I mean, I will say that we should agree to disagree, but you're wrong. So I will agree to nothing other than
I will agree that
wrong.
one of us is wrong.
Yes, I will also agree to that. You and I
understood.
Will have different definitions of that, but
no, but don't go there. Just we agree on this.
We
film.
do agree that one of us is incorrect. That's
Correct.
our relationship, though. Like just one of us is always wrong all the time, and the answer is it's you. Like it's you, and then you say that to me, and then we laugh like little girls on the playground. Yeah,
that's a good summary. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that this review of Nosferatu is going to get Robert to come on our podcast anytime soon. So we might have to finesse this in post.
Right, because that was a total possibility.
Listen, we have open invitations for Shaq, right?
Mm-hmm.
Justin Long,
Nicolas
Cage, I would like to open that up to Robert Eggers.
Really?
I would like to. Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not get this guy to come on? I would also like to have a conversation at some point with Ari Aster.
Agreed.
Mainly because what the heck was freaking Beau is Afraid? Why was the giant penis? I don't understand, buddy. I don't know what's happening. What happened to you? That's my main question. Listen, if you say that word one more time.
It's like an extended.
It's not an excuse, Steve.
It's an allegory. It's an extended metaphor.
Even worse. It's not an excuse. Because the question is, what happened to you? The question is not... I don't know what question... I don't know what answer that question would be. I don't know.
I'm not sure I want to know what happened to Ari Aster, with the kinds of movies the guy makes.
I do. The psychology behind these directors. That could be
worse horror than the actual movies.
That's the point, is like, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Or he's going to be like, nothing happened to me. I just like this kind of movies. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's secretly serial killer disturbing. Like, that's crazy.
So what happened to us, man?
Well, I mean, that's for my therapist to still messed up. She's still trying to figure that out. You know? I'm still trying to figure that out. Listen, fix is...
Well, I mean, I'm not fixed quite either, so.
Yeah. Well, boom, roasted. Okay.
Two broken guys watching scary movies
that
our wives don't want to watch.
That's mainly it. Yeah. That's mainly
amazing side note on that. My wife watched both of these movies that we're going to talk about this week.
Did she really? Did she finish your assigned movie?
Yeah.
And
she loved it. Her exact words were that it was so funny.
It is funny. It is hilarious. Yeah. Okay, well,
yeah,
that's good.
Your movie. She kind of watched sort of on the side, but
we're on the same page. We were on the same page. I had to watch this movie in parcels, just a little bit at a time. I chunked it out like
don't get ahead of yourself.
I chunked it out like a TV series, like a little bit at a time. Anyway, okay.
I mean, that's the wrong way to watch it, but whatever.
That's okay. Again, one of us is wrong, and it's, whatever.
Sure.
Listen, I need to talk to you about something.
Okay.
I don't know that this is real, but it seems to be real. And I want to know what's going on. Okay. You might not be able to answer this question. That's fine. Okay. Because I know you're not.
COVID is real. I thought we established this.
You're not in casting. Okay. I understand. Okay. But this franchise is, I wouldn't say important to me. That seems a bit much. But it's my favorite horror movie franchise. Okay.
Okay.
I'm talking about the Scream franchise.
Right.
I love this.
You loved you some Scream.
But far be it for me to not be realistic and understand that, we hit some rocky times.
Indeed.
5 and 6 were fine. They were fine.
Fine.
They weren't great. They were fine.
Mm-hmm.
5 was probably better-ish than 6.
6 did not have enough Samara Weaving in it.
6, well, first off, that's a crime. Mm-hmm. That's a crime that she was the opening kill. Yeah. Okay? You have this Scream queen, and you're not gonna...
That's what they did in the first one.
Cast her? What the heck is going on?
That's what they did in Scream 1, though, with Drew Barrymore. It's like a callback.
Yeah, fine, whatever. Anyway, I
so
think that
what's going on with 7?
Scream 7. It looks like they have recast Patrick Dempsey's character. So in Scream 7, it looks like they're going back to some sort of original cast idea where, oh my gosh, her name literally, Neve Campbell, her name literally just left my head. Neve Campbell's coming back. Okay. Courtney Cox has signed on to come back. And because Neve was coming back, I think people just assumed, or maybe it was announced. I'm not too sure of the timeline specifically. It's a bit fuzzy in my head. that Patrick Dempsey was going to be coming back too, because they got married and she moved on
really?
and had kids with Patrick Dempsey in the Scream universe, right? Like she moved away.
Huh.
But Joel McHale has been cast as Neve Campbell's husband and not Patrick Dempsey. I believe their names are both Mark in the movie. Different last names though, and I'm very curious as to what the heck is going on. Probably time will tell what is specifically going on with this franchise and why they're doing this and trying to kill me and ruin everything in my life. But the other thing is this: I'm also very much hoping that the killer in this movie is better than the killer in 6. Okay. That was my main problem with 6. Is the killer was terrible. It wasn't a good reveal. It's like, oh, his parents or his dad. You know?
Yeah.
It's dumb. It was dumb to me. Made this whole shrine for this guy and then
Yeah.
Anyway, you know.
Life's rough, man.
I know. Life is rough.
The only thing that's consistent is change.
Listen, I know that.
That's some wisdom for you. You can have that one for free.
I appreciate that. Thank you for giving me that completely brand new piece of information that I didn't know before. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I hope that they do it right, and I hope it's done well. I mean, Marky Mark. That's a different guy, right?
That's a different guy. Yeah.
Right.
Mark Wahlberg.
Maybe this is their subtle way of saying that they have Mark Wahlberg signed up. Mark and Mark.
No, is that's okay? That'd be wild if Mark Wahlberg showed up.
Yeah, because he's like a mediocre actor.
Wow. Did you know that in the movie that he's in now, or that's getting ready to come out, about him being the guy in an airplane? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the one that looks kind of lame.
It actually does look super lame. It's got Topher Grace in it, and they need to keep him alive because he's going to snitch.
It's one of these. Everything is shown in the trailer movies.
The whole movie is the trailer. Yes,
even the Mark Wahlberg's bald thing was like they give it away.
They gave it away. That's his real hair. What's crazy is like I literally saw a behind the scenes video.
Yeah.
Of Mark as they were shaving the top of his head, going, "It'll grow back. It'll grow back. It'll grow back." Like he was convincing himself, "It'll grow back."
That's great.
I'm like, dude, it's. I applauded. I'm like, dude, he's actually doing this. This is a real haircut here. He's not just putting on a wig.
Impressive dedication, man.
That is dedication. I mean, minimum champion dedication, but it's still dedication, I guess. Also, why do they have to do that? Why can't I've noticed that a whole lot more that I used to love watching trailers, but anymore
it's scary to watch.
I fully want to stay away from movie trailers because I don't think that I think that we're getting into this trend where we're giving away the whole movie. It's either that or the movie doesn't really have any oomph. Doesn't really have any good writing. So we have, in order to sell the movie, we have to include everything into trailers. Like, I think that and we're getting more. Like, I remember when back in my day, I remember when there was just one trailer per movie. Right. And now we're going sometimes 2 teasers.
Right.
And then the full-length trailer, and then
the trailers have trailers.
Yeah, and exactly. Like they'll do like a pre-trailer, and then the title card, and then the actual. And I'm like, what is going on? What the heck is happening? And I don't understand this trend.
They're giving too much away.
I'm sitting there watching Nosferatu, and I'm watching these trailers go by, and I'm like, I want to shut my eyes and plug my ears because the trailers are too long. and they're giving so much away.
Yeah. You gotta just show a little skin, you know?
Just a little.
Don't give it all away.
You can give it all
Nobody
away in the
wants
movie. Give it all away in the movie. But don't do that in the trailer. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. Just a little, just a little, tantalize me a little bit, you know? Just titillate me just a wee bit. Is that uncomfortable for you because I said the word titillate?
Move along.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Well, Steve, I would like for you to tell me why I have movie ADHD.
Because, dear Zach,
here we go.
One movie that we discussed offline a while back, I said, good movie, and I asked you a question about it. You said, yeah, I got to this point in the movie where this thing happens, and I'm like, that happened in like the first 3 minutes. And you're like, yeah, and I thought it was stupid, so I turned off the movie. I'm like, buddy, you like wait for that thing to like 3 minutes, and then later on you're watching the assigned movie for this time, and you text me and you're like, promise me that this is a good movie. I'm like, how long? Like 14 minutes in. Like, they haven't even met the guy yet. I mean, it's like the movie is like haven't barely started. That's why there's a setup part for the movie, and then like the act 2 and then the act 3 thing. And poor Zach here. I mean, I'm not mad at you. It's you've got a problem. You know you're working on it.
Yeah.
But I think you just have ADHD, and you need like some meds maybe for movie. If they have movie ADHD meds, you know,
like any movie Adderall.
Right. Specifically, movie Adderall.
Movie Adderall.
Right.
Okay.
Because I mean, I don't. I'm not saying you're like you have ADHD in the rest of your life. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But,
yeah, of course.
You know, but
yeah,
it's difficult to get you to watch a movie that you get 3 minutes into. When I recommend you a movie, you get 3 minutes in, and you're like, "No, I'm done."
Listen, some movies are just that stupid that they do a thing, and I can't get past it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
I can't get past it. The issue. Okay, we'll break this down without getting too deep in it. I was watching my assigned movie.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of this movie was dragging on for a little bit longer than I wanted it to. I got to about 14 minutes, and I sent you a text message and was like, "Hey, please tell me this movie gets better because I want to finish it. It's my assigned movie. I want to watch it, but I want to enjoy it. I want to, you know,
right."
And I figured it out. I told you that I figured out the percentage of movie that I watched. I watched 15.21% of my assigned movie. Before I was like, hey, time out. What the heck is going on? This movie is dragging on. It's boring. So that's my question to you. How much of a movie? You can't say all of it.
No, I understand.
100% is not the answer. What is the percentage? How much of a movie should I watch before I abandon it? Because my season 1, my rule was I'm going to watch half of the movie before I fully give up on it. Some movie, and that even varies because sometimes some movies are just so stupid. Or the characters are making so many dumb choices that I literally can't do it to myself. I can't torture myself. You know? And
do you remember which movie it was with the monkey watching the show that you turned it off?
The monkey watching
that was
show.
The one you got 3 minutes into. They were like making a monkey watch all this, like all these news clips of horrible things happen, or it was a chimp. And he shut it off 3 minutes into it. And I'm like, you should watch the whole thing.
Is it a horror movie?
Yeah, maybe. I thought so. Yeah.
There was a horror movie that I watched with a monkey, and they're showing a bunch of clips.
Yeah.
What?
You're like, I'm not watching this thing. It's like too many clips of old old news clips or something, news shows.
And they're showing it to a monkey?
Yeah.
Are you stoned right now?
Maybe Not that I'm aware.
I don't know. That sounds so crazy to me. What movie would I have watched that they're showing clips to a monkey?
It's right at the beginning where there's like lots of anger involved, and they're like making this monkey go crazy because they're watching him all, like they're turning him mad. Ah, shoot! I've got to look this up now.
Yeah,
it's gonna drive me beer.
What
that's
horror movies have monkeys in them?
Oh, none of them. I mean, there's lots of them, bud. I don't know. I'm looking at my movies that I've watched recently, but maybe
movie. I'm literally looking up horror movies with monkeys.
Well, oh wait, hold on. Oh, it's 28 Days Later. That's what it was.
Yeah, that was not a monkey.
It was a chimp. Sorry.
Oh no, it doesn't matter. I don't care about the species.
There was a chimp watching horror movies. No, I'm sorry, watching like newsreels of like wars and famine and stuff to make it really angry. That was 28 Days Later.
Yes, I was watching the beginning of 28 Days Later, and it was so stupid. The
right,
beginning of that movie
3 minutes
is
into it.
Yeah, I don't think I made it 3 minutes. This movie.
See, that's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a classic movie. It's like groundbreaking zombie technology.
Yeah, I love that I love that in a private conversation earlier you were like, that movie's kind of crap. And now you're like, groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking. He's like, I can't believe you would have made 3 minutes.
It's 2 stars for me. But it's a, you know, as a movie buff person, I'm not saying you're buff, but you know, movie buff. I don't know. Would you consider yourself buff? Not in the buff, but you know. Anyway, you're a movie person, and as a horror movie person, and you like zombie movies and things like that. And
okay,
so you should know about 28 Days Later. You should at least watch it just for like historical, you know, purposes.
Got it. I will watch the movie because 28 Years Later is coming out, and I want to grab the full picture of 28 Years Later.
Well, if you watch 28 Weeks Later,
I will watch the whole. I will watch the trilogy. Okay, I'll watch 28 Days, 28 Weeks, and before I go see 28 Years. Yeah, but a lot of it has to do with just the mood at the time. It's just not. It's not that I just can't do it now.
Right. Okay.
And starting the movie off, you know, with all of the political climate that we're currently in and the slight unrest that everybody talks about and all the other kind of jazz, I started watching this movie, and it had a bunch of wartime kind of clips to it at the very beginning. And instead of me calming down enough to just simply hit the 10-second skip button and go, I'm going to skip past this to get to the real stuff, I just decided to hit the stop button and eject the tape. And I didn't even rewind it because screw Blockbuster. And I'm going to, that's it.
See, Zach, back in my day,
oh my gosh,
walked up the hill both ways in the snow to get to the movie theater. So we don't have this fancy Netflix stuff. We didn't have DVDs in the mail. We just had to go to the theater, and you went and you watched the thing, you know, like a man.
Wow. Okay. I was already not into what you were selling, and then you said like a man. And I'm like, I'm fully out now.
Totally joking. Okay.
Wow.
You know, but
so
you
much toxic masculinity over there.
As long as you watch the movies I assign you, I will let you be you.
Yes. Okay. Well,
but if you don't watch the movies I assign you, I will shame you.
That's
publicly
fair.
And privately.
That's okay. That's fully fair. That's fully fair.
We should give each other like 2 free passes for the season or something like that. Like, this is so bad I can't handle it, or I don't know. We'll have to workshop that one.
I think that's a decent idea. That the movie that we assign each other is so bad that we can't get through it, and yeah, we'll have to figure out an incentive program for not forget it. Because if you want to burn through this one, and what happens if you have both of your credits at the end of the year? Do we get a prize? You get a gift?
It's good. You get to be on the next season.
Yeah. Are we gonna Squid Games the person, and then you're just eliminated, and that's it?
And we take our top listener and put them in the chair.
Say what?
We take our top listener and put them in your place when you lose.
I like that idea.
Oh, yeah, cool.
I don't know who our top listener is because I still don't know how to freaking read the Spotify analytics. I don't know what voodoo those things are. Anyway,
well, I hope that you can work on finding yourself some movie Adderall.
Yes, I need to find
time.
Movie Adderall is that a better or worse idea than movie catheters?
I think they go together. Because if you're going to have, because without the movie Adderall, you're going to be getting up and down and doing stuff, and then you're going to go peeing and stuff. Right. So if you have the movie Adderall, you kind of need the movie catheter because you're going to be calmer and you're going to sit down and watch the thing, which means you're going to have to pee. That wasn't pee.
Okay. I don't believe you. Even though I literally watched you pour Michael Bublé into that. Okay. Yeah. I like the idea of movie theater catheters. We talked about adding the taser aspect to movie theater catheters.
We did.
To keep you awake because you went to that. That was hilarious, by the way. I genuinely think that's so funny. You're like, hey, here's this movie theater that we went to, which I'm genuinely not convinced is a movie theater. I think that you got duped. I don't think that you really went to see a movie. I think you went to a bar. You went to a pub. You went to a bar.
It was a brewery that had 6 screens.
That's wild to me.
Huge.
That's wild to me. They had 6 screens. Okay, you went to a
waiters for every 2 or 3 waiters for every theater that they came to your chair and took your order.
And I love that you're like, all right, I got badgered you enough to go see Nosferatu. You're like, all right, great. Then you take a video. You're like, I'm at this movie theater that's basically a giant bar. And then you were like, I think I need to go back and rewatch Nosferatu because I fell asleep because I ordered an old fashioned. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like you got drunk at the movie theater and fell asleep. Wild to me.
I did not get drunk.
No, I will tell you.
Sleepy.
It makes so much sense that you fell asleep during
movie
Nosferatu.
Was so engaging.
Because you're like, oh, the movie drug on for too long. So much so that I fell asleep the first time I saw it. Yeah, and there's too much blue. Ugh, it made me fall asleep. Like, gosh, that's crazy. I'm not convinced. I would like to go to this theater to find out that it's actually real. Because I think that you maybe watched it on somebody's phone.
Wow,
like illegally. I don't know.
And he brought me the old fashioned and the fries that I had that were fantastic.
You had an old fashioned and French fries when you went to see?
Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh,
living large.
Okay. They have cheese on them?
Cholesterol, forget it.
They have cheese in the fries?
No, I'm not going to screw them up like that. That's horrible. They were just
I want you to know
some
that
of the best fries I've ever had.
I want you to know that because you said I almost hit the red button. I almost exited out of this podcast because you said that cheese ruins French fries.
Well, it makes them soggy, and what if you get bad cheese? You know,
bad cheese does exist
because it's always the cheese is always on the top of the fries with the bacon and stuff, and it's like nachos. If you don't spread out the chips and get an equal like distribution, what's the point? Because then you got like 3 nachos and like a bag of chips. Come on.
You heard it here first, folks, on our horror movie review podcast that Steve is nitpicky about the cheese that he likes on his French fries.
I mean, yeah. If I'm going to eat something that's going to risk putting me in the ground.
Right. I understand. Well, we should stop boring our listeners with talking about nacho cheese fries. And
this isn't a snack review podcast?
We could start that. Snacks yet untasted or whatever. Like,
All right,
I think we should expand this unseen universe. We should expand it into other podcasts.
Now we'll workshop that one as well.
We'll work. That sounds like you're not really into that idea.
Yeah, maybe. Let's move on because I've got places to go.
Yes.
All right. Looks like I'm up first this week. The movie I was assigned by the good Mr. Zach. Brand new movie for 2024. Get Away. Written by Nick Frost of Shaun of the Dead fame.
Yes. You also said 2024. We are now in 2025.
Well, the movie technically is listed as released in 2024, December 6th.
Where was it released?
What?
Where was this movie released?
In theaters. And I think
at that one theater, at that one quote unquote theater that is a bar. Is that it?
No, sir.
I don't know what limited release this movie had. Anyway, go ahead.
Opening in theaters December 6th. That's what it says. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my gosh. Fake news.
Probably in the UK because it's a UK movie.
That might be.
Yeah. I mean, it's a horror comedy. You get Nick Frost, you get a comedy. You can't really help it.
Yes.
Fun fact, I found out he's almost exactly my height. He's a short man. So he's 5'7", I'm 5'6". So
cool.
Take that for what it's worth. Anyway, so the quick synopsis. Get Away is a 2024 British comedy horror film. The story follows the Smith family, father Richard, mother Susan, and their teenage children Sam and Jesse, as they embark on a vacation to the remote Swedish island of Svalta. You have to say it that way, Svalta.
Got it.
For the annual Karantan Festival. Upon arrival, they encounter hostility from the locals and become entangled in bizarre and ominous events. The film blends elements of folk horror with dark comedy, drawing comparisons to movies like Midsommar and Wicker Man, but with a humorous twist. Let's see. Okay, cool. So if there's one thing that I like, it's a horror movie where local type of bizarre custom ends up being horrific in some weird way for the people who are there. And this one does not disappoint. I mean, I think that over the past year, I've watched a lot of horror movies, and I have a better sense of what I like. And I think my favorite genre in general is this kind of folk horror thing, where the scariness comes like The Ritual or Midsommar or stuff like that, where the scariness comes from like deep beliefs of the people in the area, or like there's a lot of this stuff in UK horror movies, and honestly, Korean horror movies as well. Lots of like the ancient spirit of the area does this or that. But in this one, and by the way, this is the spoiler-free review section.
Correct.
Right. And so for this one, the family goes to this island, and there's this, as I mentioned, the Karantan Festival, which is it's a festival to celebrate or to remember. It's a kind of in remembrance of this incident that happened in the 1800s, 200 years ago, where this little tiny island was quarantined because there was a big polio outbreak on mainland, and so they stayed quarantined. And once the quarantine was lifted, everywhere else they stayed quarantined because the British forced them to do so. And it went on long enough that they ended up like eating each other, eating the dead, and then like revolting against the British and eating the British people. And so that's what this festival is every year. And they have this 8-hour long play apparently. And this family shows up on the island, and they are so not welcome. And it's like creepy. There's like this perverted guy who's really bizarre and weird. And it's no spoilers on this one, obviously, but it does not go the way anyone watching or involved in the movie would expect it to go. And I thought that was great. So I really liked this film. I would give it a 4-star because this one was really well paced, and get really well engaging the whole time. The humor in it was very dark British humor. I don't know how else to put that because and not give anything away, but the jokes that were being made in the middle of the carnage, because it does get pretty gory after about halfway mark.
Mm-hmm.
The jokes being made during the carnage were like so dry and funny. I mean, people were going along with their lives as though things were just normal while people were being slaughtered.
Yeah.
And I thought that was funny. And like I mentioned earlier, Christy saw this with me, and initially she made me stop at halfway. She's like, "I'm done," but nothing like before before you realize how funny the movie becomes. You get about halfway, and this creepy guy does something creepy, and she's like, "I can't do this because it's too creepy."
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, we came back to it. I'm like, "Give this a shot," and she's like, yeah, "Okay, give it another shot." And then it got funny. So your mileage may vary, but that's how it went for me. So I'll give it 4 stars. Looks like we have Rotten Tomatoes, so 77% Tomatometer and 45% Popcornmeter, which I was surprised by because the Popcornmeter is the user reviews, and over 100 reviews, and it's 45%. So I read some of the reviews, and they're like, they didn't like how Nick Frost says it wasn't that great of a writer, or it was stupid, or I don't know. But it was, I think it was what it was intended to be. It was just a goofy movie.
Yes.
IMDb,
Yeah.
5.3 out of 10. Letterboxd, 2.7 out of 5. So, the tracks across, that's kind of consistent. So, but yeah, that's kind of my brief review. It was a fun story, creepy at first, then gets ridiculously stupid, but in a good way.
Right.
Yeah, I would recommend it if you like that kind of thing. So now we're going to move on to the breakdown. Sound good to you, Zach?
It sounds fantastic.
I just want to do whatever so he says me to do.
All right, so Getaway 2024/2025. It opens with some creepy dudes in the 19th century looking like they're about to attack and eat a woman and her baby. And then it kind of cuts away to black. And then we have this definition of the word svalta, which means to starve or famish as a Swedish word, or a secluded Swedish island where in the 19th century, a terrible tragedy occurred. And I'm guessing, although I'm not a Swedish speaker, I'm guessing that the word svalta, meaning starve or famish, came from the story of the Swedish island named Svalta. I don't know.
Yes, I would guess that the island was named that, and then because of the massacre, the word took on a different meaning.
Yeah,
too.
And I have not researched the origins of the name Svalta in real life, because I didn't think of it till just now. But then the words on the screen say 200 years later, and we cut to Nick Frost and his family and his wife and 2 children. And the older teenage children, they look like they're in their 20s, probably in real life. But and they're driving through the Swedish forest on the way to that island, and the thing that bothers me a lot in this movie for some reason, Nick Frost and his wife in the movie, they refer to each other as mommy and daddy.
Yeah,
it's like, what are we, Mike Pence? No.
Well, wow. I thought that it added a level of discomfort, like
exactly
awkward discomfort to the movie that is subtle.
Right.
Exactly. They have teenage children. It's not like they have little children.
Right.
They have teenage children, and so the fact that I also rolled my eyes as a pretending that I was their kids because it is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They're like, come on, daddy. And I'm like, all right, freaking chill. Calm down. It's weird.
Yeah. And the son says he'll never, like they're talking about where they're going and what happened with the Svelta massacre, whatever it was called 200 years ago. And the son's like, I'd never eat a person because I'm a vegetarian. And they're all giving him crap. And like the whole movie, Sam, the son, he's like fighting and insulting the dad. And you get the vibe that he's not really welcome there for some reason. But they arrive at the ferry to get across to this island. They grab a little bite to eat at the cafe, where the owner and his wife were very told them very, very directly, do not go to the island of Svelta. And like, we're going to go for vacation. Like, don't go. Just don't go.
Right.
And they're having people all over the place warning them not to go. But they eat their burgers and they head out. And Nick, the dad, has to run back and get his wallet, and they almost miss the ferry. And then everybody on the ferry tells them not to go. And on the ferry, they are as everyone's giving them dirty looks, they come across this scary looking dude known as Johann the Dane, who pops up later. And they have, when they get there, they have the chilliest welcome you could possibly imagine. It's an old woman, seems to be in charge of everything, and she grills them about why they're there and they should leave and all this stuff. That they can't leave because that was the last boat of the night. So they stay there and they find their B&B, and they argue with the locals and finally get there, and they meet the host of the B&B host. His name is Matts, Matts.
Yeah,
which is, it's just one person, to be clear. Zach.
His name is Matts. Yeah,
his name is Matts.
Is that a common? Is adding S to the end of the word Matt a common thing?
I don't know. I'm not Swedish.
Okay.
I do think that it may be short for something like Mattsson, or but Matts, yeah. And I noticed that the children, when they get into the B&B, they're acting really weird to each other again. And so as they're kind of getting settled in, the daughter takes a bath and gets dressed, and you get the vibe that somebody's been walking through their house and watching them in the bathroom and everything. And the whole population of the island shows up at their doorstep at night, tosses a dead raccoon on their steps, and then they're like, "You got to leave." They're like, "No, we're not leaving." But it's like you get everything about this gives the vibes of they are not going to live through this, right? It's like really, you just know that they're going to get eaten.
Well, I mean, because they're greeting, the old lady licks that woman in the face.
Oh, that's right. Oh, she licks her face.
Like she gets in her face, and she's like, you're unwelcome or whatever. And I also love the fact that they're like, we're just here to see the play. And she's like, it's not a play. Like she's super adamant about this. Yeah, like we read about this thing online.
Yeah.
The reason we're on holiday is to come here to see this play that you guys put on. She's like, oh, it's not a play. And then she licks that woman in the face. Like, who does that?
Like a running bit the whole movie. It's like, we're going to go see the play. It's not a play.
Yeah, it is this running bit. Yeah, we're going to go. And then finally, I think at the end, towards the end of the movie, they're like, yeah, it's a play. It's fully a play. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so yeah, and then like the old lady's watching them from the forest, and just acting weird. And then it shows the family in the forest the next morning. She's like looking at the beautiful nature,
right.
And then like suddenly the video cuts to the cafe where they were at for their burger, and there's blood everywhere. They're like, the people are dead, and the police are investigating. There's like this detective is like looking around, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And they cut back to, the camera pans over to Johann the Dane, who's acting creepy and looks crazy. And so the police, the detective, he hops in a boat, goes out to the island to look for Johann the Dane, because everybody's assuming that's the killer. And then he did
just get out of prison.
Right. That's right. That's right. He did.
He
was
did
mentioned-
just get released from
Yes.
prison.
Just got released from prison. So then we discover that Matt's is watching every single thing in the B&B. He's got cameras everywhere. He's got and he's the bad part is we see him like pleasuring himself watching Mummy give Daddy a blowjob.
Wow. Wow.
And
We've
she actually
officially
says-
turned a corner in this podcast where
she actually
that was
says,
a sentence you said. Oh my
she actually
God.
says, Daddy, yes, Mummy, would you like a blowjob?
It is a
"Stop it,
wild
love me,
line.
Daddy."
It's a wild line because they're just sitting there enjoying everything.
Right.
They're just sitting there, and the kids are like, "We're going to go take a swim," and they're like, "All right, cool." And she just looks over at him. I'm like, "Wow."
At least they went inside, you know?
Well,
And at least we didn't see anything.
yeah.
Well,
Well, what we saw was also not great,
Agreed.
right? Yeah.
Well, the detective finds nothing, can't find Johann, the Dane. And the two kids, again, who seem like in their 20s, they go to a waffle shop where they end up in a fight with some locals who tell them they shouldn't be there again. It's like really driving it home that you should not be here. And then when the kids get home, we see Matt's laying in the daughter's bed,
Wow.
wearing her bra and her underpants,
Yep.
and he hears them and he hides really quick.
It is wildly uncomfortable.
Yeah, and so she's like, "Where's my underwear?" And the son's like, "Well, I didn't take it." And she goes up to this mirror and like looks at the mirror really closely, and breathes on it, and like makes a little heart, and then cut to Matt's standing on the other side of the mirror.
Yeah.
And he licks the mirror right where the heart is, like really big.
It is. It's uncomfortable. Like
That's where Christy's like, "Stop."
Yeah. That scene is, so you see him laying in her bra and underwear in the bed. And I'm like,
Yep.
dude, this is wild. But then what's also crazy, what was really crazy and funny to me was the fact that brother and sister were together the whole time. And she's like, "Did you take these things?"
Right.
How could he have? You were with him the whole freaking time. But she's very aware that something is not okay about this house from jump.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
At one point, she does have a conversation with Nick Frost, Daddy. She has a conversation with Daddy about, and I forget about this thing. Like, I think that are you going to talk about that?
Well, yeah. When they've actually find the cameras later.
No, I'm talking about. She's like, "Hey, I think we're being watched."
Oh,
and
I remember that.
Yeah, they were talking about getting high.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But she's acutely aware that
there.
something is going on this whole time.
Right, because when they do find the cameras later in the movie, she's like, "I told you."
Yeah. I think that's probably why she makes the heart on the mirror, because she knows that somebody's watching. And it's freaking Matt's, because Matt is he's being creepy.
Maybe Matt's has multiple personalities. That's why he's Matt's.
Or maybe he's just got some freaking weird name. Matt's is also, I Googled it. Matt's is not a real name that anybody gives there. But it suits him. I will tell you that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I hope that the millions of Swedish listeners we have are going to be will explain to us what's going on with this name.
I would hope that they would. Yes.
Yeah. Well, so after he licks the window, or the two-way mirror that he's been watching them through, we learn a little bit more about the Carantan play, and we find out that apparently during this tradition and play, which is not a play, long in the past, they would actually sacrifice people and eat them to remember what happened to their ancestors. It was like part of the deal. But they haven't done this in 30 years, they said. But the old lady who's like in charge, she's like, "We're doing it this time. These people that came to their island, we're going to eat them we're gonna kill him. And like the young people are like, no, we don't want to do that. That's old way of thinking. And she's like, you're gonna do what I tell you to do. And I guess that's all the discussion that's needed to convince someone to eat somebody else.
Yep.
And then the old lady finds Matt because he wasn't in the meeting, and she instructs him to stop being so stupid by doing things like letting people stay at his place on the island. And he promises to do better. And she's like, just go make these people these cookies. And she's like, do you have other things for the recipe? Like, wink, wink.
You're right.
And she's like, so the play starts, and it looks kind of cool, like a play in a little town someplace. It's all about the English coming and everything, and it's apparently 8 hours long. Meanwhile, Nick Frost and family go to swim in the harbor, and Matt comes along with these cookies. And he's like, "Weren't you going to go to the play?" And they're like, "Yeah, we'll catch the climax."
I love that.
It's like 8 hours long.
Well, not only that, it's like, this is why we came to the island.
Right.
But the whole time they're like, we need this. We need this. We need like there's something going on or something that went on that they never fully discuss. That maybe I just missed that part. They never fully discuss why they quote unquote need this. But they go to the island to watch this play. The play is happening. They're like, we are having too good of a time.
Right.
Doing these other things, being a family, whatever, that like, we'll just catch the ending of the play. That's so funny to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That they don't, I don't think they ever really go to the play.
They don't.
Hilarious.
But they are there for the climax.
They technically are there for the climax. That is correct.
Yep. So they head to the harbor, and Matt's is like, well, I got a surprise for you when you come back. And he puts the cookies on their table and leaves a note that's like, eat these now while they're warm. So
not an ominous note at all.
Right. And of course the play has like hilarious jokes about cannibalism and during a famine. And hold on. I missed a note. I lost a spot. Okay, so the they show a bit of the play and what's going on in the play, and then the family comes back from the harbor, and they find the cookie, and they're like, "Oh, look at the cookie," and they're like, "These are interesting smelling," and then it shows them like starting to eat them, and then it shows the play again. It cuts back to the people, and they're all like passed out. They're like look like they're dead or whatever. Whatever the cookies did to them, they're out of it. And then Matt walks into the house. He's like, yeah, they ate the cookies. So of course he gets her underwear on again, and she's laying in her bed, passed out, and he gets her underwear and bra on, and he like spoons her and cuddles with her in the bed after he checks that she's not awake.
Mm.
And right when he does that, everybody else in the family comes into the room with knives, and they slaughter him to death because, big twist, the family is the one who's going to be killing everybody.
Yeah.
They're not in danger. They never were in danger. Everybody else in the entire island is going to be in danger. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a fantastic switch up. I did not expect that at all. Uh-huh. So, and that was, I liked that a lot. So this becomes the rest of the movie. Basically, they chop him up and they slaughter him, and they by the way, it cuts back to this play. This play is messed up because there's like blood spurting everywhere on everybody, and they're like licking it out of the air. I mean, it's just red water, but it's like these people are really into this death, and Christy was watching this with me, and she's like, none of these people deserve to live. Like nobody on this side, the killers or the people in the town. Yeah. So all four of them proceed to basically slaughter the entire village with knives, slicing and stabbing him. And I laughed so hard during this because the comedic bits during the slaughter are actually pretty well timed. Like it was pretty brutally gory, but they paused just in the right spot to like make a joke. just enough to keep it from being like too much.
Yeah.
And the funniest one was that Nick Frost and his wife are slaughtering people in the woods, and he stops after killing one of them, and he's like, "Oh, I am so out of shape."
I know.
And she's like,
that's really
"Oh,
good.
honey, you should be doing street jazz with me and Cassie." And he's like, "Yeah, I know, but I don't. I think I'm like how stupid and doing it." And she's like, "Well, you strengthen your back, everything else will be fine." It's like this conversation like a husband and wife would have after he picked up the trash the wrong way or whatever,
Right.
Just so, and that's very dry British humor that I love. Just that kind of thing during this slaughter, and they're like having discussion about what kind of exercise they should do.
Right.
And then the old lady saying, like the old lady and her son are like running around, and she's like, we need to get off this island. And she's like, well, I'm not leaving this island. This is my last cut on ton. I'm going to be here. And he's like, but everything's falling apart. And she's like, nothing is wrong. And right as she says that, a guy on fire runs past her behind her.
Yeah.
Nothing is wrong. It was funny. Anyway, a flare goes up from the villagers. They shoot flares up in the air to call the folks from like the police or something. And the children like are taking selfies with dead bodies, and then of course everybody thinks it's Johann the Dane. And during the last part of the slaughter, the music gets really like goofy and like up tempo and like cheeseball.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Frost takes a sword through both cheeks.
Oh wow, that was crazy.
And he's like, "Oh, they knocked out one of my crowns." And there's a little kid I think it's a kid in the costume, and they stab him about 1,000 times in the head.
Yeah.
You don't see it. It's just like it has a mouse costume head on, and then Nick Frost pees on him.
That was wild. That was because they're all like stabbing this guy, right?
Right.
And then he's like, I need to go to the bathroom. They're like, all right, well, let's give Daddy his privacy. And he freaking just whizzes on this guy. And the camera just stays on
his face.
On his face like the whole time. You just hear him like, oh, and he's peeing on this person. I'm like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. Yeah.
That's what this whole thing is. All the gore and violence is just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
That you can't take it seriously.
You can't. At this point of the, so it's already like there is this comedy to it, but you don't really know where the thing is going. Or maybe you think you know where it's going, but then it doesn't go there. And the humor really doesn't fully pick up until they are slaughtering everyone.
Right. Exactly.
And then it is this perfect blend of horror comedy where they are killing everyone. But then, you have the mom who's like, I'm not leaving. This is my island. And I'm not going to leave. And the son's like, yeah, let's freaking go, dude. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the killer families piles up these bodies and burns them, and Nick Frost is like, the smell reminds me of our honeymoon.
I know.
Like, what, dude?
What?
And then of course Sam, the son, and Nick Frost, the dad, they start, dogging on each other, and the son tells him to F off, and Nick Frost is like, you better watch yourself. And he's like, what are we going to do to me? And he just Nick stabs his son in the neck.
Yeah.
Then you find out it's not his son, because the daughter's like, now we've got to source a whole new brother.
Yeah.
And the mom is like, you know who's going to have to deal with this? Me. I'm going to have to deal with this. I'm going to be sitting on the phone for 2 hours now, trying to do this and that. And it's like this whole thing.
Which probably leads, because that's another twist. Yeah. Because they come in like they are a family, but really they're just a team of assassins or a team of serial killers.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder if mommy and daddy are married.
I think they are. So Christy and I had this whole conversation too. Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely, I'm definitely leaning towards the fact that neither one of their kids are biological. These are just two people. Because she's like, well, now we have to source a new brother.
I think that they actually are the daughter is theirs, and they clearly they're clearly in love, the two of them. Like talking about their honeymoon and all this stuff. And the daughter, they say near the end of it, like, oh, I wonder where she gets it from, and like about the daughter.
Oh,
so
okay.
I get the vibe, but either way, it doesn't. I mean, either way, it works.
But she's been a part of this the whole time because
right.
I think the next scene after that is the Trojan horse. They want her to do the Trojan horse thing,
exactly,
and it's going to be her first time to do it.
I think you're ready to do a Trojan horse for the first time,
right? So they're calling out plays,
right?
They're calling out serial killer plays at this point. They're like, "Oh, it's time to do this. It's time to do this play that we're going to call the like it's a football game, like
right,
hilarious."
But then what? To me, the funniest part of the whole movie is as the son is bleeding out. Nick Frost is screaming at him and is like, "You're always late to stuff, and your personal hygiene is horrible." As he's bleeding out, and he's like, "It's because I have ADHD."
Yeah,
and he passes out.
He's
and
done.
Then Nick Frost goes, "Well, now you've got DEAD."
Yeah, it's such a stupid dad joke.
The timing, I know. And so they have to figure out what to do next, and they continue to look for people to kill. And as you mentioned, they do the thing about her being the Trojan horse. She's super excited. So she goes into the house pretending she's hurt to ask for help, surprises the son of the old lady, and he shoots her in the stomach with a shotgun
which is just a flesh wound.
Right.
Anybody else getting shot in the stomach with a shotgun that's it. It's over for them.
Right.
But she's like, oh no.
Right. She's sitting there bleeding out. And she's like, Matt's killed my parents, and they kind of believe her. Then the old lady's son goes upstairs with a shotgun to find out what happened to Matt, and they find his body in pieces in the bed. And then Nick Frost kind of does the Trojan horse thing from the other room. He's like, help me. And he gets in there, and he gets close enough to him, and Nick jumps up and slits his throat. And as he's falling, in the last act on his last act on the planet, as he pulls the trigger, blows off Nick Frost's hand, his right hand.
So good.
And then the wife goes, "Oh, Daddy, you'll have to wank southpaw now."
Oh my gosh. And
then he goes, too early.
Yeah.
She's like, sorry.
It was very, very noticeable that Nick was one arm in the suit.
Yes.
The other prosthetic arm, because his shoulder was like 3 times the size that it needed to be. And it's so clear for just the split second. It's so clear that it's bad. Right. And it endeared me to the movie so much more, because I'm like, oh, this movie, that's such an easy. They didn't have the budget for it though. They're like, oh, well, let's just do this on the thing. Where he's just doing one of these deals. Yeah. It's so good.
It's funny. And so then the old lady remains defiant. She grabs a big knife to come after him. She's like screaming for a long time. And then suddenly her head literally explodes, completely gone.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious, because you look over, it's the detective.
Yeah.
Who shoots her in the head with just like a revolver.
Just a normal gun. A normal gun that in no way, shape, or form with any bullet would ever explode somebody's head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a full shotgun to the face, yes, maybe.
Right.
But he's just got a standard issue police gun. Like, that's not.
But the family immediately it becomes the victims. They're
they try to kill.
They killed my son. Oh no! And he's like, "Come on, get on the boat."
Exactly.
They get on the boat, and they're driving away, and then they pass the police boat with like lots of policemen on it, and they're like, and then at that exact moment, Johann the Dane, who's been asleep in a boat by the water the whole time, he like hears all this commotion. He stands up, and the police see him, and he's like, whoa, he starts running away from the police, and they're like, there's Johann the Dane, get him. And they just open fire and just pelt the guy in the back with all these bullets.
Right.
Assuming he's a bad guy. And the Nick Frost family just heads on back to the mainland, and they're like, "That was the best slaycation ever."
Yeah, slaycation is good. That's a good term.
That's good. And Nick Frost says, "You know what I always say: the family that slays together stays together."
It's so cheeseball. It's so cheeseball.
Yeah, and the mom's like, "Oh, I love you, Daddy. Even as cheesy as you are, it's great. Oh, it's funny."
What's crazy is like the detective just casually waves to the police as they're coming. Like there's like 3 boats there, and he just like, "Hey," and they go the other way. And it made me wonder if the detective is in on it this whole time. It made me wonder that. But because it was very and they were talking about killing people in the boat. I'm like, he's right there.
Oh, but it's loud. Yeah, it's boat noise.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the microphone can pick it up, but your ears can't. Okay.
Well, it's movie magic.
Movie physics. I don't have time for any of this garbage. Right. Yeah. Yet I'm the problem. I'm the problem for overthinking it. Okay, it's fine. Whatever.
But the funny part is for me, I mean, so the movie was great, but it was ironic to me that you assigned me this movie because last week I watched a movie that had a very similar twist. I won't say what it is because I may assign it to you at some point.
Okay.
But it was the same kind of a, like, the family is the bad guys that you didn't expect it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was to me, it was a very inventive twist on things. So, I liked it a lot. A lot of fun with the slaughtering of the people.
With the slaughtering of the people.
So, again, 4 stars. Loved it. Looking forward to more movies like it in the future someday.
You will definitely get assigned movies like it was a movie that I watched and immediately I don't think that I was very far into this before I was like I need to assign this to Steve. I actually already had like 5 movies already laid out for the first couple of episodes that we're going to do.
Right.
Because I think I'm going to get rid of, at least temporarily, I'm going to get rid of the spin wheel.
Spinner.
And I saw this one and went, I need to assign this one to Steve. And so I literally put it in front. I moved all of the movies down a week. And because I was like, I don't want him to just watch this on Shudder. I don't want this to be some mindless movie that he watches later. I want us to talk about this movie. And but it is the roll of the dice too, because all 5 movies that I wanted you to watch, I have no clue whether you have. I've not checked the Letterboxd to see if you have watched these movies. I hope that you haven't, because I very much want you to. I want to talk about these movies on the podcast in this fashion.
All right.
But yeah, I knew from the very get-go, I'm like, this is going to be a great movie to assign Steve.
Yeah, loved it. A lot of fun.
Because it's very Shaun of the Dead-esque.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, but it is in the horror comedy realm.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It's obviously not the same story. But it is. Like at one point, I'm like, the only thing that could make this movie better is if Simon Penn just showed up randomly as a random weird character in this movie.
Yep.
Like, yeah. If he was Matt's, that would have been hilarious. But
that'd been funny.
Yeah. The movie was perfectly cast, though. I really enjoyed this movie. I don't know I don't think that I rated it because I wanted to assign it to you, and I didn't want you to be like, oh, here's a bunch of movies that Zach has watched recently, and then guess what I was going to assign you. So I don't think that I've rated it on Letterboxd yet, but I need to do that now. So it was a 5. This movie was what for me. What rating system? I'd probably say that 4.5. I'm in love with this movie. I'm going to 4.5 this movie. Now that I have the ability to rate it because you've already watched it. What are you rating this movie?
4.
4. Got it.
Yep.
That's a decent rating. What would the popcorn bucket be though?
Ooh.
Because you're
cookie bucket.
A cookie bucket. Hmm.
Well, maybe one of those golden eggs that Goose kept laying in the play.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's all I could think of.
Yeah.
Right.
The dialogue between, I think the dialogue between the people who own the burger place, the restaurant, and the family was hilarious.
That was funny.
Because they just want to eat, and he's like, well, I'm a vegan.
Right.
What? He's like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, all of our burgers have meat in them. Like,
Did you have any plant burgers? Like, we have meat burgers.
yeah, we have meat burgers. Yeah. It's just, yeah, it's hilarious. It was weird. It was weird humor, and I love this movie. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yep.
It makes me happy.
Move on to yours?
Move on to mine. So you assigned me a movie from 2020 called Uncle Peckerhead.
Oh, yeah.
And, wow, what a title. My only qualm with the title is the fact that they never once call him Uncle Peckerhead. That's
Uncle
my
Pecker?
own. They never call him Uncle Peckerhead. Because Casey asked me this. Casey was like, well, how do they, because when I broke the movie down for her, she was like, oh, so they call him Uncle Peckerhead. I was like, actually, no. No one ever says
Uncle.
Huh. Anyway.
Good point.
Non-spoiler review for this movie. Rotten Tomatoes has a 100% critics score for this movie, which is crazy.
Yeah, I was surprised with that.
67% audience score, which is great. 5.9 out of 10 on IMDb, 3.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. The synopsis of this movie, which I would stay away if you're not looking for spoiler free. Stay away from the Google synopsis or the IMDb synopsis or even the Letterboxd synopsis for this movie, because it gives away the movie. There is a spoiler in the synopsis. So I asked our good friends ChatGPT to write me a synopsis for this movie. A punk band on their first tour gets more than they bargained for when they hire an eccentric roadie. That is about as non-spoiler as we possibly can get. So what can I say about this movie that would be non-spoilery? Probably few things. So let's say this. Outside of a punk band on their first tour gets more than they bargained for, this movie is basically about that. It's about a punk band who quits their day jobs, and they're going to go on tour for the first time. They want to they booked like a 5, 6, 7 city tour.
Very small venues.
They're very small venues. This is like niche punk rock, small town punk rock bands who are trying to make it, trying to get seen and get their demos heard. And the leader of the band, the band's actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie to you. The music that they play is not bad, because there are at least 2 or 3 songs that they basically fully play in the movie. And they're not that bad. The band's name is Duh. And what is interesting to me is I think the final gig. What is interesting to me are the names of the different bands in the movie.
Ask you about that.
we will talk about these names because I went back and I wrote them down, and
good.
we need to talk about them because, I mean, it's just they're just middle school names. They're just middle school names of punk bands. But the main point of the tour is that is to get recognized. And one of the big punk bands in the area, one of the members of the big punk bands in the area owns or co-owns a record company. Okay. And the leader of the group wants to get the demo in their hands. And so, along the way, minor spoilers, their van gets towed. So they need to find a van in order to go on this tour. So they put out a bunch of flyers, and that's when they meet
Peckerhead.
Mm-hmm. You find out that his name is Peckerhead because that's all his dad ever called him, which is both hilarious and incredibly sad. That this child was only ever called the derogatory name Peckerhead, and therefore just assumes that that's his name. So, and then from there, they go on tour, but other spoilery things happen along the way. And that's this movie it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm. I know.
This movie's not that bad. I gave this movie a 3.5 out of 5. Which is worth another watch. That's what that one is called in our rating system. This movie is it's a good mix of horror and some comedy that possibly went over my head, and some awkward scenes. And I will say the blood and the gore. There were two gory scenes in the movie. I will say that there are 2 gory scenes in the movie that were so outlandish.
Right.
We'll talk about those. We'll talk about those 2 scenes in the spoiler filled section. But I think if you guys are fans of like indie horror comedy, this movie might be for you. Now we can let's jump into the spoiler filled section because I want to talk about the band names and all the other stuff.
Sounds good.
Steve. Okay. Okay.
I was hoping you had written these down because I was trying to search online for like a list of the band names and I couldn't find it.
I 100%.
You're doing the Lord's work.
I did it. Here we go. Okay. So first out the gate, what was hilarious to me was that for the cover art for their, by the way, brace yourself for some crass names. Okay.
This is a horror movie podcast after all.
Because like I said, one of these band names, all of these band names feel very middle schoolish. All of these names feel very middle schoolish. Like it's like you are in 6th grade and you find out what something is for the first time. And you're like, oh, this is our band name, Yeah. So the cover art for Duh's album was done by a local artist called Marshmallow Dicks. And I laughed out loud because I'm like, that's wild. That's wild. So here are the band names. This is not necessarily an exhaustive list. This is as many as I could count. So we have Duh, right? We have... I can't believe I'm going to say this. We have the Queef Queens, which... Okay. So this particular band is the one that they are most excited about because one of the singer or one of the members of this band owns the label.
Right, the record label.
Okay. So this is the main band that they want to go and impress.
Right.
Along the way, they play with other bands, such as Brainbusters, which is not a bad punk band. Acid Cat.
Mm-hmm.
The Turd Toilets. Or I think it's just Turd Toilet, which...
Turd Toilet, yeah.
Turd Toilet, that's it. They have 2 albums out from this label. It's not explicitly mentioned, but one of the members of Duh is wearing a Doll Baby t-shirt, which I probably can assume is a some sort of punk band.
Okay, yeah.
Then there is a Piss Face, which is crazy. Okay. Dominion Rising and Open Source. Okay. Do you remember in Parks and Recreation when Andy is just going down through the list of all of the names that they have called Mouse Rat? That's what this feels like. It's like we used to be called Foreskin, but then a member of the band left, and now we're Three Skin. And like it feels yeah. There's something about Popes. It was nothing rhymes with orange, everything rhymes with orange, nothing rhymes with blorange. Like it's ridiculous names. Yeah. And this led me to want to ask you, if you and I started a punk band, what would our band name be? What do you think our band name would be?
Sprunt.
What? Sprunt. Okay. I don't know what that means. And I should probably... Okay, Sprunt. Yeah, but what does it mean? What do you mean?
It doesn't have to mean anything, does it?
Yeah, but
okay. We need a better one than that. How about
Sprunt? What is that?
The Moist Pockets.
I don't like that at all. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, this backfired real kind of quick.
Flesh Knobs.
I want you to stop. Okay. Okay, well.
I'll keep thinking.
Yes, please don't do that. This movie starts off with the phrase "based on a true story." And
yeah.
I don't think that's real.
I think so.
I don't, but it's okay.
They never said
that was the
which
first
part
time
is
that
based on a true story.
Yes. I can't imagine it's Peckerhead's part. I can't imagine that. I could imagine that the band names are the true story.
Could be, or the fact that somebody needed to borrow a truck or a van for something.
That feels very realistic. Our van got towed. We need to borrow a van to go on this tour. Yeah. So this movie basically starts off with Uncle Peckerhead eating somebody. Like, it's intro title card or intro like studio cards. I don't know what you would call those. And then based on a true story, which made me pause and laugh because I was like, no way.
Yeah.
And then the first scene of this movie is the faceless head of somebody who's laying on the ground, and somebody is like eating them.
Takes his jaw off and like, gnaws on it.
and I don't think you fully realize, like, this will play out later on.
Right.
But then, title card and, yeah. So then we're introduced to the band members, and, they announce that they're going on tour, and it's going to be great, and we're going to get discovered and labels and all of that stuff, right? The van then gets towed, or maybe broken. I think it not towed. It doesn't get towed. It gets repoed, I believe. And then, they're like, "Oh, what the heck are we gonna do? Let's go and put some flyers in some people's cars that basically say, hey, can we use your van? Call this number."
I expected that would work.
That was wild. It's a wild, yeah. Because if I'm in Walmart and I come out and there's some thing in my window that says, "Hey, can we use your van?" I'm like, no, I'm not going to call this number, right?
You have to be a psychopath or a monster.
So this is when they meet Peckerhead, who they have endearingly called Peck, and he's super aggressive out the gate.
I love how he's like, "My name's Peckerhead, but most friends call me Peck." And they're like, "Okay, Peck." And the drummer, the girl with the red hair,
yeah,
she's like, "Okay, Peckerhead."
Yeah,
she's like, I love her I hate the world attitude the whole time. It's pretty great.
100%. So he very quickly realizes that he could be this roadie, and he's apparently always wanted to be a roadie. Like that's the vibe that he gives. Is like he's always wanted to be this roadie.
He just wants to be included.
He just wants to be included, and that's fine. That's fine. And yeah. So he's like, yeah, if you pay for gas, I'll drive you wherever you want to go. Great. So that's exactly what they do. And the lead person, what is her name? Her name is Judy.
Oh, like the head of the band, sort of? Yeah.
Judy is very skeptical of Peckerhead from the beginning of the movie. Like from jump. Everybody else seems to be kind of fine with this guy. She finds some mysterious red liquid substance in the back of the van when they are getting gas, and that probably only piques her curiosity even more, and rightfully so. They get to the first venue, and this is the first kind of song that you hear, but they only make $3 on this first gig. And Peck is not too happy about that. So this is when Peck goes inside to go to the bathroom, and Judy goes in and finds Peck covered in blood, eating the promoter.
Yeah.
And there's no real way to wrap your mind around that. She comes back out. She explains everything to the other two band members who are perfectly fine with what's going on.
Yeah,
she is
out, and they're like,
only one who's like, this guy is wild. He comes out fully covered in blood. And she is the only one who's like, look at him. And they're like, we don't understand why you're so upset. They're like, all right, let's just go inside and find out what's up. And the next scene is them seeing the promoter, and they're literally just standing over his completely torn up, skinless body. Like,
yeah,
hilarious. And they're throwing up, but again, they're still fine with Peckerhead, except for Judy, who's like, I don't want to do this anymore. But he's like, let me buy you dinner. and explained the whole thing. So he basically explains at dinner over pancakes that, he's a demon, or what he likes to be called a thing, that at midnight, every night, for like 13 minutes, he turns into this thing and kills and eats people. And again, everyone's kind of fine except for Judy. And, I like that. I like the fact that everyone, that the other two are kind of fine with it, and Judy's not, because it allows you, because you feel both of these emotions. At least I did, because I'm like, all right, well, they need a van. They need to go on tour. They're at the first gig. They find out this information, and it's like their heads over a barrel. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to be friends with him, but they kind of need to be,
like a necessary evil sort of thing.
Right. And so you do have Judy's skepticism for him, but you also are like, yeah, well, it's not really that bad. And that's hilarious. Judy does find some needles with some fluid in them, and Peck tells them that the only way that he really gets over this is like to sedate himself.
Right.
Which you find out later in the movie is just water, and he's not actually sedating himself. He's fully going around killing people this whole time. So I think Peck basically uses them as like, yeah, I'll drive you around because I'll get to eat.
Right.
And you'll get to do your thing, and I'll basically never tell you what's kind of going on. So, that is kind of what goes on. They do run into a guy. I'm literally scanning through the movie right now. They run into this Jesus-looking character who is, got flowing hair and a beard, and he's dreamy looking and whatnot.
Tall and handsome.
Yeah. And he takes them in for the night. And him and Judy end up,
hooking up.
And that was one of the most uncomfortable scenes I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah. Because she's like really not into it.
He's making way too many noises.
Oh, boy, is he.
And then they wake up. Judy's still very skeptical about Peck. And turns out Peck is a baker and has made these incredible scones.
Mm-hmm.
And she hates the fact that, like, she tries one reluctantly, and
they're really good.
Yeah, they're really good, and she hates that. This but she also has flashbacks. Like, as this guy is eating a scone, he's also like, and now she's having flashbacks of the night before. Which is, again, it makes you relive it. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This there's literally an ad playing right now as I'm trying to talk about this stupid movie and comb through it, which is annoying to me. It's really annoying that ads exist. Why do they always have to be selling me something?
I don't know, man.
And
sorry to hear that.
They're trying to sell me Burger King right now, and I don't want Burger
on Prime.
King. Yeah, on Prime right now. Anyway. So now we're done. So they then meet this other band, Dominion Rising, and their completely pretentious band leader, who is the quintessential definition of a douche nozzle. He is
absolutely.
You want to punch him in the face immediately. Dominion Rising will come back later on to. It feels very much like they're trying to mark their territory.
Yep.
Because he likes the fact that they're just starting out, and Dominion Rising has been doing this for a while, and then there is this switch where Duh is now headlining, and Dominion Rising is opening for them, and he does not like their band does not.
He's like, there must be a mistake.
Exactly. So one of the first crazy scene that I mentioned about with way too much blood and gore is the metalhead scene. So they're hanging out in the parking lot after the venue. These metalheads pull up, blast their music, and literally just start jamming in the parking lot. Peck tries to talk to them and like, hey, calm down. That doesn't work. At least
he tried, right?
They antagonize Peck. And the next scene that you see is Judy waking up and the other two band members hosing off Peck because he's covered from head to toe in blood. And they're like, what happened? And Peck's like, I'm surprised you slept through all that. Because he literally tears them apart. Tears one of the heads off of this other guy, but all this stuff. But the scene is the other two band members are literally standing there. One's holding a blanket, and they're just getting sprayed with blood. And
the amount of blood is insane.
Insane. And it took me out of the movie because I can just imagine that the director is like, all right, we need you to just stand right here. We're going to take this hose full of red syrup, and we're going to hose you down.
Right.
Until I say cut. That's the scene.
Right.
And because it was comical, the amount of blood. And again, Judy is not cool with this. And they're like, Judy, you should have seen it. It was awesome.
Right.
Which is hilarious.
They're weirdly into it, yeah.
They're weirdly into it. So, they go and play some more gigs, and let's see here. They're at this one gig, and they're like, hey, if you have a place for us to crash, that'd be great. This girl comes up and is like, yeah, you can come and stay at my grandma's house. We got some space. But it turns out that Dominion Rising is also staying there. And Dominion Rising does not like the fact that this other newer band is taking their thunder. So Dominion Rising basically kidnaps them in this room. Peck finds out and completely obliterates them.
Yeah, it was brutal.
And this leads me to the second crazy scene where apparently something happens to Peck's stomach during the gore fest, and he poops everywhere. Like he sprays poop everywhere. And it was genuinely uncomfortable. Blood is one thing, because you're like, oh, well, it's fake. I'm just watching a movie, whatever. Poop apparently is where I draw the line. Didn't necessarily know that I needed to draw a line.
It was like an atomic mist of spray.
It was one. You heard a gurgle, and he went, "Oh no!" and then pulls down his pants and sprays everyone with crap. And I was like, "Oh, this is not necessary." And then I thought, "Well, what upset his stomach? I don't understand what upset his stomach." Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But he saves their life. And unfortunately, this is the night, or the next day is when they need to go and perform for these queens, which I'm not going to say the name again.
Right.
But they're covered in blood and they're covered in poop. And he is like, I don't understand why you guys are so upset. I saved your life. Like, and which is a great, and they're just silent like the whole time. And I think they might have at that point voted him out of the band. And,
Yep.
And,
kind of, he's no longer part of the fun anymore.
He's no longer a part of the fun.
No longer accepted.
So let's I'm gonna kind of cut to the chase here just a little bit. They don't get to go on and perform because Peck has kidnapped the girl who told them that they could spend the night and her grandma, and they're out in the van. And apparently Peck's been going around killing people, and the police are now looking for him. And this van
been lying about not doing it.
And they find the van, and and Peck disappears because he's kicked out of the band. Peck disappears, and they get thrown in jail.
Yeah.
And go through an 8-month trial where the only reason that they get out of jail is because the girl and the grandma are like, they're not the ones who were killing these people. This other monster demon, whatever, has been killing these people. They get out, they restart their life. They're on tour again. I'm assuming they're at least playing a gig. And Peck.
And it looks like a bigger place.
It looks like a bigger place. They finally made it, whatever. And
yeah, I get the vibe that the attention they got from the trial has kind of bled over into their music. Everybody's like, wanting to see him.
Right. And so they're playing a gig. They finish a song. Peck is in the back of the room, and the camera just stays on Judy's face as the song ends.
She looks at her watch.
And she looks at her watch. It's midnight, and Peck tears the room apart. And that's the end of the movie.
End of movie.
That's the end of the movie. And what a movie.
Yeah.
What a freaking movie. Number one, was not expecting this. I was not expecting this movie to be good. It's called Uncle Peckerhead.
I know. I didn't watch the movie for forever because I thought it was a dumb name.
Yes.
If they had named this movie something else, I think it would have been a lot better received.
Still very much want to know why they call it Uncle Peckerhead.
Yeah.
But again, that's neither here nor there. This movie is great. I think that this movie is definitely worth another watch. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5.
I also really liked how endearing he became, because like during one of the gigs they were at, people weren't listening to what was going on. He's like going around like getting people to like look at the band, they're really great. And by the end of it, everybody was like really excited about the band. Because Uncle Peckerhead went around Peck went around and like drummed up excitement for it, and like they're like, oh, what a guy.
At one point, Judy goes up to the booth and it's like low key accuses this other girl, the drummer, of stealing a box of
the
demos.
Right.
And it turns out Peck was going around selling them for $5 or whatever the case is. Like Peck was. So as much as Judy is not on board with Peck,
right?
Peck kind of turns out to be a good guy.
Yeah, and you get the vibe that she's like on his side finally, and then they find out that he's been killing people the whole time and lying to them. And that's too far.
And that's too far.
What's a few dead bodies amongst friends, right? Come on.
Listen. Who hasn't?
I mean, I'm not going to say that for legal reasons, but
allegedly.
Allegedly,
who hasn't? Okay,
right, exactly.
That's all I'm saying. Like, to get ahead in life,
Wow.
Is this is it uncomfortable? Okay, great. All right, that's fantastic. It's fine. Again, this has all been alleged. This is the last podcast. Nobody come and look at me. It's fine.
See you in 8 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Peck does at the end, like, hey, you don't want to turn me in. I'll just come back and make your life miserable. And I think that's when he does. 8 months afterwards, they get off. The police are probably now looking for some other guy, because the story I'm sure the story that they tell is wild. Who would believe that story? I very much want to know what aspects of this are true story and what are not. But that's not for me to know. Apparently, that's Anyway, this movie's pretty great. I would say that it's definitely worth another watch. And because it has a lot of heart, and Peck is really endearing. And the band is not bad. It does drag in parts, and that's why I got to the beginning of this movie. It took too long explaining everything, because right after I sent you that message, you get to minute 15 in the movie, and the movie starts to pick up. But the very, very beginning of this movie is like, what the heck is going on? It's kind of boring. So if you get through that, the movie does pick up pace pretty quickly. Yeah, it's pretty great. So
cool.
Yeah, I'm ready to assign you your next movie.
Let's do it. You want to go first?
I do.
Ready? Do it.
Dude. I'm so excited for you to watch this movie.
Oh, great.
I think you're going to have to rent it. I don't believe that it is out for streaming quite yet. You're definitely going to have to rent it. It just came out, I believe, 2024. The movie is Y2K.
I've been wanting to see this.
I rented this movie.
Okay.
This movie is hilarious. And it is incredibly stupid. But it is stupid in such a good way. I think you're going to love it. It's Y2K. Right. A24 too. So it's a great movie.
Awesome. I'm looking for that one. So the one I picked for you is not a comedy. Sorry. But it's good. I think you're gonna like it. It's also it's a 2023 movie.
A 2023 movie. Oh, I thought you said
sorry. It is a 2023.
I was like, what is this movie studio? A 2023.
That's right. It is from 2023.
Got it.
It's currently on Hulu.
Okay.
As well as other places, but you can for it's included on Hulu. What You Wish For.
What You Wish For.
What You Wish For.
Okay.
Don't watch any previews.
I know nothing about this movie.
Good. I predict possibly good things.
Yep. Okay. I'm holding all judgment.
Yeah, you like I said, no. I haven't watched any trailers of it, but I'm afraid the trailer would spoil the twist.
And you said it's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
Okay.
It's also on Plex to rent, looks like. But yeah, you can just watch it straight on Hulu. So
great.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, it's good to be back.
It is. Season 2.
Yeah.
Episode 1 in the bucket.
We got some good things that are coming up. I know I'm trying to schedule some interviews.
Yep.
And we got some people who want to have us on their. I think we got some people that want to have us on their podcast, or at least want to be on our podcast. We're going to try some new things, see if they stick. I'm really excited about season 2. We'll see how it goes.
Sweet. Well, I will see you later, sir.
Yeah, man. Talk to you later. All right, listeners. That's a wrap for another episode of Horrors Yet Unseen. Thanks for joining us.
And we'd love for you to become part of the conversation. Just drop us a voicemail at 1-216-202-5495 or email us at horrorsyetonunseen@gmail.com. And keep up with the latest by following us on Instagram. That handle is @HorrorsYetUnseenPod. We'd also appreciate it if you like and review our show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your support means a lot to us. See you next time.